So, I wanted to touch upon this topic of how your spiritual life impacts your business life. And if you were here live or on the replay, you have a spiritual practice. You've been on a spiritual path years, decades perhaps, whether that's yoga or meditation or organized religion, meditation, prayer. And you also know down to every single toe in your body that you are here to create a legacy level impact for the collective. And if that's you, hello and welcome. So, there are different types of businesses. And when I say there are different types of businesses, I don't mean corporations versus LLCs. It's not what I'm speaking to. I mean on a different plane. There are businesses that are here purely to deliver product or service, for profit or not for profit, even with no connection to God, no connection to source, no connection to divinity, versus businesses, including organizations and corporations that are born or created fueled of a deep spiritual connection, a sense perhaps of God's calling on your life. And if you fit into the second category, that's who I'm speaking to today. This can show up in things like thought leadership, such as, Tony Robbins, or the obvious, such as religious organizations. But it also equally applies to those of you who are executives, founders, and leaders who have felt a calling on your life and who know that your organization is here to create a significant impact or a significant social change. And if you're here live or on the replay, it's because some or all of this speaks to you. So let's dive into how your spiritual life impacts your business life. Your spiritual life is all the ways that you are connected to God, divinity, God is source, and all the ways that connection flows through you. Now, I'm going to use the word God here, most of my materials, but feel free to substitute goddess, feel free to substitute source, feel free to substitute divinity. We do get into problems when we substitute in the word the universe, because the universe also includes my house or every star. It's too expansive. So your spiritual life is all the ways that you are connected to God and the ways that that connection flows through you. And on the deepest level possible, your spiritual life impacts your business life on the level of identity, on the level of who you be. I'm going to say that again. On the deepest level possible, your spiritual life impacts your business life on the level of identity, on the level of who you be. And this is about who is showing up for business, who's driving, who's steering the ship, right? It's about who is showing up for business, who is showing up to make decisions, and who is showing up to lead the team. The more connected you are to God, the more of your, I don't even want to say your true identity, the more of your highest self can flow through you. Downloads and insights, intuitions, being in the right place at the right time, expanded identity, a larger sense of who you are as a leader, and a larger sense of the impact you are actually here to create versus the impact you think that you are supposed to create, which are very different things. And I'm going to get into a story about that. So take a moment, take a breath. This is a lot so far. And let me share a quick personal story. 2002, 2003, 2004, I was a yoga teacher, booked out full-time with my birth name, Jessica Abelson. And there was nothing wrong with that. I liked teaching yoga. My business was thriving. There were many good things. I was impacting tons of people. There were many good things, in fact. The issue was that my identity was constrained. The issue was that I was not connected to God. And the issue was that I was not serving at my personal highest level. So what happened? Things happen when we're cut off from God, when we're cut off from source, when we're cut off from spirit. I had horrific insomnia. I was suffering incredibly. And this put me on a tremendous personal spiritual journey. And I won't get into the whole thing here. What I will say is that I went through a profound initiatory experience. And when I went through that initiatory experience, this was back 2006, 2007, my sense of past identity broke, my sense of past identity shattered. Now, this was scary, but it was also a very good thing. And what it did was two things. It put me in deeper conversation with God, deeper connection to God. And it expanded my sense of who I am and the impact of what I am here to create. And it expanded my sense of what I even viewed as possible for my life. I remember in the initiatory journey itself, a quick detour here or share or whatever. I remember in the initiatory journey, the woman who initiated me saying, there's a chance you're going to become this great spiritual teacher. And me being shocked at the concept, me being shocked at the idea, because my sense of identity was I am Jessica and I can be a yoga teacher or social worker. So the point of this is that when you come into more connection with God, when you deepen your spiritual life, your sense of identity will expand and does expand, and your past limited self will shatter. And the gateways to what is even possible for you in business begin to blow wide, wide open. So take a beat, take a moment, take that in. And if there's questions, pop them in. I'll get to them on the replay. If you guys have any questions, pop them in. I'll address them on the replay. So let's bring this back to you. The first question is, in general, how does this apply to you? Take a moment and just ask yourself that. How does all of this so far apply to you? How does your spiritual life impact your business life from exactly where you're at today? Take a breath, take a moment, take it in, jot down notes, do whatever you need to do with that. Ask a question in the comments. I'll address them on the replay, whatever you need. Okay, and now let's do a quick exercise on this. I'm going to assume that if you're here today, you have a spiritual practice, whether that's yoga or meditation or connecting to the divine feminine or organized religion. And it's all welcome here. I use the word God, but it is all welcome. I'm also going to assume that you know how to tune into your own connection, that you have the ability to do that. So for this moment, I want you to feel yourself and your connection to God exactly where it's at right now. It could be low, it could be high, whatever it is, just feel your connection exactly where it's at this moment. Tune into that. Feel that exactly where it's at in this moment on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being nothing, 10 being on fire. And feel into your present capacity to transmit that connection directly into your business. Now jot that down on a scale of 1 to 10. How potent do you feel right now? No judgment, no shame. 1 is like nothing, 10 is on fire. And just notice that. Okay, great. Now you're not going to like this next one. This next one is not fun. Now for a moment, turn off your connection to God. Or you can't really turn it off. Turn it all the way down. Turn that dial of connection to God, spirit, source, all the way down. I know, not fun, but play with me for a moment here. And just turn that dial all the way down. And take a beat. Give yourself a moment here. Now feel into your connection to business, leadership, authority, all of that, and feel that in your body. Notice what happens when that connection to God is turned all the way down. What happens to your potency of business, leadership, authority? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being powerless, no connection, no juice, 10 is on fire. Now, this number should be lower than the first one. It should be pretty low for all of you. Notice that and feel that for a moment. And jot down that number 1, 4. It should be relatively low. Okay, now take a moment, take a breath, feel, regroup. Now take a couple of deep breaths and call in your connection to God. I know we just turned it all the way down, and I'm asking you to do a massive pivot here. So take a moment, call in your connection to God, call in your connection to Source, call in your connection to divinity. Maybe you need to visualize yourself on your yoga mat or at a religious event or deep in meditation or prayer, whatever it is that connects you. Really, 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 really let that whole connection wash over your body. And give it a moment. Really feel it. Now feel yourself in business as a leader as you are with this energy. Notice what changes. Feel where the connection is in your body and how you can transmit that into your business. And then pick a number of 1 to 10 again of how potent, how connected, how on fire you feel with divinity and business. Again, back to the scale of 1 to 10. 1 being powerless and 10 being on fire. And write down that number. 4, 8, 10, whatever it is, jot that number down. And now take a few more deep breaths. I want to mention that if you want to move forwards with doing this work, I'm presently offering one-to-one spaces for spiritual integration work and business advisory. This is for CEOs, founders, and leaders who want to amplify their organization's impact without leadership fails or cycles or struggle. The mechanisms with which we do this is spiritual integration work, which is very, very similar to what we just did today, as well as business advisory and intuitive business channeling. The best way to begin that is to reach out to me directly for a 15 to 20-minute coffee chat. No strings attached, no expectations of that call, but there are some requirements to be able to book that conversation in the calendar. There are some requirements to book that in, but once you're in, there's no strings. And I will put a link for that in the comments. Okay, any questions? If you grab this on the replay, feel free to share your questions there.